So let's get into number one, which is a video from Breaking Point's Trump Knew About the Girls. Let's watch this video.
So this is from 2019, and this is from Jeffrey Epstein to Michael Wolff. So it says, victim name redacted, Mar-a-Lago, redacted. Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine to stop. And this is after, by the way, back in 2015, that Wolff emailed the advice from Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein about potentially crafting a response to hand Donald Trump was, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Interesting line right there. Of course, Wolff continues, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. Now, when he says, of course, Trump knew about the girls, this is from Jeffrey Epstein, he asked Ghislaine to stop. That is, in the strangest way ever, confirmation of what Donald Trump has said, which is also in the strangest way ever confirmation that he clearly knew, as he alluded to in media reports before he was president, before Epstein became such a mythical figure. Trump said Jeffrey likes him on the younger side. He said recently, I think he was on Air Force One within just the last few months, saying, yeah, that they were stealing girls from Mar-a-Lago, which is exactly what happened to Virginia Giuffre, who was working at Mar-a-Lago, was poached by Ghislaine Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago.
So that is interesting. The first option, the way I see it, is the more charitable view when it comes to Trump, quote, knowing about the girls, as Epstein said. We know Epstein was obsessed with signaling leverage to foreign diplomats, science elite, past presidents. Trump, or rather Epstein saying that Trump knew about the girls, could be less about the truth and more about Epstein wanting to signal this perception of leverage and power. And one thing that we can say pretty positively about Epstein is that he did have leverage, he did have power, and he used that power to make people do things of his own means. And we're still finding out about the full depth of what that was when it comes to the trafficking of young women and children, when it comes to being a power broker for foreign diplomats and intelligence agencies. But Epstein did have leverage and power. Something it seems like someone in his position would also want to do is give off an even greater perception of leverage and power than they have. So if Epstein is commentating on a president or future president like Trump saying, oh yeah, he knew about the girls, like that puts Epstein closer status-wise to be commenting on a president in such a matter-of-fact way, casually, of like, oh yeah, Trump knew about the girls, he knew about Ghislaine recruiting women at Mar-a-Lago, and it may have been true, it may not have been true. The second option, which to me seems like the more likely option, the more sinister option, Trump knew about the girls and asked Ghislaine to stop. Ghislaine was grooming and procuring women, young girls, and this was a pattern that Trump was well aware of. There was a moment on Air Force One, which was mentioned in the video, where Trump acknowledged that, yes, Epstein stole young women who worked for me. That was in July of 2025. And according to Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago and completely severed ties with Epstein in the early 2000s. More on that later. This is something that I wanted to bring up during the podcast about the email from Epstein that said Trump was aware of the girls and asked Ghislaine to stop. Trump knew about the girls. I forgot to bring this up, and this has to deal with the pattern of Trump being aware of this. If what Epstein said in the email is true, you don't ask someone to stop unless you see something multiple times. And I mean, maybe if something is extremely egregious or you're like paying very close attention, maybe you lay down your foot, you really fucking lay down the hammer after someone does something one time and you say, hey, stop. But I feel like it's human nature to let things go a little bit. And Trump has other responsibilities. This is back in the early 2000s, allegedly, when Trump knew about the girls. He's on Celebrity Apprentice. He's a billionaire real estate mogul. He's not at Mar-a-Lago all the time, but it's clear that if this is true, if Trump knew about the girls and asked Elaine to stop, he's noticing this as a pattern over a course of time, over a period of time. So he might have witnessed instances of Ghislaine recruiting multiple girls and seeing this multiple times and then being so fucking pissed off where then he or someone went to Ghislaine and said, hey, you got to stop stealing young girls from Mar-a-Lago to recruit into whatever the fuck you're doing. This has to stop right now. Beyond it being a pattern, it seems like this is something that Trump would have had to clock multiple times on multiple occasions. This recruitment from Ghislaine from Mar-a-Lago of young women for Trump to lay the hammer down and say, hey, stop. So that's something I wanted to make clear, that if the email is true, then it seems like this would have had to be a clear pattern of Ghislaine that Trump noticed over multiple instances over a period of time for him to have to say, fucking stop stealing my bitches from Mar-a-Lago.